The grand iron doors of the royal vaults creaked open precisely at 11:47 a.m. on March 3, 2026, revealing a scene of quiet tension. Princess Anne, her hands elegantly gloved, clasped a black velvet case containing the highly coveted Cambridge Lover's Knot tiara. Its diamonds, catching the vault's fluorescent lights, scattered a mesmerizing rainbow across the ancient stone walls that had for centuries guarded the monarchy's most precious secrets. A mere 3 feet away stood Queen Camilla, her jaw taut with barely suppressed frustration. "And we discussed this," Camilla's voice, though low, resonated with a distinct echo off the concrete. "The Qatari state banquet is tomorrow. I need that piece." Princess Anne's gaze remained unwavering. "The decision has been made." Camilla's query was sharp. "By whom?" She closed the distance, her elegant Chanel suit rustling in the pregnant silence. "Charles approved my request last month," Anne responded, her voice calm as she closed the velvet case with a soft, decisive snap, a sound that seemed to seal her words with finality. "Charles doesn't control this vault anymore." Marcus, the security guard by the door, whose name tag discreetly announced his 12 years of service in these very vaults, subtly shifted his weight. He had never witnessed such a direct confrontation between two senior royals. To our viewers, we pose the question: who do you believe should ultimately decide the fate of Princess Diana's iconic jewelry collection? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Camilla's face flushed crimson, a testament to the 2 decades she had tirelessly dedicated to forging her reputation, to earning the respect she believed she deserved. The Lover's Knot tiara was meant to be the crowning jewel of that legacy, a symbol of her hard-won acceptance. Yet this woman, her determined sister-in-law, stood as an unyielding obstacle. "That tiara sat in darkness for 18 years, Camilla stated, her voice trembling almost imperceptibly. 18 years, it needs to be worn." Anne tucked the case firmly under her arm. "It will be, just not by you." The temperature in the vault seemed to plummet by at least 10 degrees. Marcus covertly checked his watch. 11:52 a.m. 5 minutes that felt like an eternity, 5 minutes that could potentially alter the course of the monarchy forever. As Anne walked towards the exit, the sensible click of her heels against the polished stone echoed like a judge's gavel, each step underscoring her resolve. "Anne, wait, please," Camilla called out, but Princess Anne didn't turn. Reaching the vault door, she paused, and her next words sliced through the stagnant air with the precision of a blade. "Some crowns choose their own queen." The door slammed shut, but Marcus, the veteran guard, caught a glimpse of something that sent a chill down his spine. The Cambridge Lover's Knot was far more than mere adornment. Commissioned by Queen Mary in 1913, it was a masterful replica of a family heirloom from 2 centuries prior, a breathtaking confection of 19 teardrop pearls suspended from intricate diamond arches. Each pearl, the size of a marble, and every diamond meticulously cut to perfection, contributed to its staggering estimated value of $7 million. Yet, its true worth transcended monetary figures. When Princess Diana wore it to state dinners across the globe, she often remarked to friends about its formidable weight, 3 pounds of history pressing down on her skull, frequently causing headaches. Despite her discomfort, she wore it, and the public became captivated by her radiant image. Photographers immortalized her in Hong Kong, Saudi Arabia, and Australia, transforming the Lover's Knot into her unmistakable signature, an emblem more renowned than any gown she wore, more recognizable even than her engagement ring. Upon Diana's tragic passing in 1997, the tiara retreated into the obscurity of the royal collection, deemed too poignant, too laden with sorrow for anyone else to touch. For 18 long years, it remained cloaked in darkness. Then in 2015, Catherine, the Princess of Wales, breathed new life into it. Her appearance at a diplomatic reception, adorned with the tiara, ignited a media frenzy. Cameras flashed, social media exploded, and the world rejoiced. Diana's tiara was back. What the public didn't realize, however, was Catherine's initial hesitation. The tiara's weight was not merely physical. Each time she placed it upon her head, she acutely felt the spectral presence of its former wearer. The comparisons, she knew, would be inevitable, the criticism merciless. Yet, for duty, for the crown, and in honor of Diana's memory, she wore it. Since then, Catherine has unequivocally made the Lover's Knot her own, gracing French state banquets, American diplomatic dinners, and charity galas with its presence. Each appearance radiated greater confidence, endearing her further to a public that adored seeing the iconic piece. But one individual had been observing from the shadows, patiently awaiting her moment. The memo, bearing Buckingham Palace letterhead and typed by Queen Camilla's personal secretary, arrived on January 15, 2026. It consisted of 3 concise paragraphs. Her Majesty, the Queen, requests access to the Cambridge Lover's Knot tiara for the upcoming Qatari state banquet on March 4, 2026. This formal request adheres to protocol outlined in the Royal Collection Access Guidelines, Section 12, Subsection B, the memo landed on the desk of Sir Edward Thornton, the master of the household, a man who had navigated the intricate currents of royal protocol for 15 years. He had never encountered a request quite like this. The Queen Consort seeking Diana's most celebrated tiara, the very same piece currently worn by the Princess of Wales. That afternoon, Thornton made 3 crucial phone calls, the first to Princess Anne, the second to King Charles, and the third to a trusted contact at the palace press office. "We need to handle this delicately," he cautioned his deputy. "One wrong move and we'll have a media disaster." The response arrived within 48 hours, not from the king nor the master of the household, but from Princess Anne's private office. "The Princess Royal will handle this matter personally." Camilla's team waited anxiously for weeks. There was no official response, no confirmation, no denial. Then the whispers began to circulate. Palace staff huddled in corners, exchanging hushed conversations. Security guards shared knowing glances. Someone had reportedly seen Princess Anne entering the vaults. Another had noticed her carrying a black case. By February, Camilla sensed something was amiss. She cornered Charles during a private dinner at Clarence's house. "What's happening with my request?" Charles, visibly uncomfortable, pushed food around his plate. "Anne is handling it." Camilla pressed. "That's not an answer." "It's the only answer you're getting," Charles retorted, his tone final. Camilla felt the ground subtly shifting beneath her feet. This was no longer merely about protocol. Princess Anne, known for her no-nonsense approach, eschewed royal games. While other royals offered diplomatic smiles and carefully worded responses, Anne delivered truth with the precision of a surgical blade, clean, uncompromising, and exact. She understood the true essence of Camilla's request, not just a tiara, but validation, public acceptance, the chance to wear Diana's crown and, metaphorically, claim Diana's place in the hearts of the people. Anne had observed Camilla's meticulous work for decades, the careful rehabilitation of her image, the tireless charitable endeavors, the gradual transformation from the other woman to respected queen consort. It had been a masterful, strategic, and nearly successful ascent, but reaching for the lover's knot, that Anne concluded was a step too far. Anne retrieved Camilla's file from her private archives, a comprehensive collection spanning 23 years of press clippings, polling data, and public opinion surveys. The numbers painted a stark picture that Camilla's team desperately wished to ignore. 73% of Britons still regarded Diana as the true Princess of Wales, 61% felt a profound protectiveness over her memory, and most damning of all, 47% expressed that they would be upset if Camilla were to wear Diana's signature jewelry. Anne meticulously studied the data for hours, charts and graphs spread across her desk like strategic maps of a battlefield. This wasn't a matter of fairness or protocol, it was about survival. The monarchy had teetered on the brink of collapse in 1997, public outrage over Diana's death, coupled with the royal family's perceived coldness, pushing Republican sentiment to dangerous heights. 25 years had been painstakingly spent rebuilding trust. Camilla wearing the lover's knot, Anne realized, would unravel it all in a single photograph. Anne made her decision that night. She drafted a memo to the master of the household, 3 concise sentences, leaving no room for misinterpretation. The Cambridge lover's knot tiara will remain with its current designated wearer. This decision is final and non-negotiable. Any future requests for access will be denied. She signed it with her full title, Anne Princess Royal, Colonel of the Blues and Royals, Chief Commandant for Women in the Royal Navy. But Camilla, it seemed, was not one to accept defeat quietly. Catherine, Princess of Wales, made a triumphant return to public duty in July 2025 following her battle with cancer. Crowds swelled outside every venue, photographers pressed against barriers, and the public, having keenly felt her absence, rejoiced. Her first major appearance, a French state banquet at Buckingham Palace, saw her descend the grand staircase adorned with the Cambridge lover's knot. The diamonds sparkled under the chandelier lights, the pearls swaying gently with each graceful step. She looked radiant, healthy, and utterly triumphant. Within minutes, the photographs went viral. "Catherine is back" trended worldwide. The Daily Mail's headline blared, "Our Princess returns." But the true message wasn't in the headlines, it was in the deliberate choice of jewelry. Catherine could have selected any tiara from the vast royal collection, the diamond diadem, the George IV state diadem, safe, uncontroversial choices. Instead, she chose Diana's crown. The symbolism was unmistakable. Catherine wasn't merely returning to her duties. She was claiming her rightful place in royal history, forging a powerful connection to the woman who came before, and unequivocally demonstrating to the world that some legacies cannot be stolen or simply transferred. They must be earned. Throughout her arduous recovery, Catherine had received thousands of letters, cancer patients sharing their stories, mothers offering prayers, children drawing charming pictures of her wearing the sparkling tiara. She meticulously kept every letter, read every card. The public had not simply missed her royal presence. They had fallen in love with her profound humanity, her vulnerability, and her quiet strength. When she reappeared, she was not the same woman who had withdrawn from public view. She was more self-assured, more purposeful, and acutely aware of her own burgeoning power. The lovers' knot had seemingly found its perfect match. Yet across London, in the private apartments of Clarence House, Queen Camilla observed the media coverage with escalating frustration. The woman she had attempted to mentor, to guide, was now effortlessly outshining her. The student, it seemed, had become the master, and Camilla found herself increasingly left behind. Camilla's Bentley skidded to a halt outside Kensington Palace at precisely 2:17 p.m. The Queen Consort, her determination palpable, didn't wait for her driver to open the door. She stepped onto the gravel, her heels crunching with each resolute stride toward the main entrance. Inside, Catherine was presiding over a children's mental health charity meeting. 20 volunteers gathered around a conference table, earnestly discussing fundraising strategies. No one anticipated the Queen's unannounced, abrupt entrance. "We need to talk," Camilla's voice, sharp as ice, sliced through the room. "Now." Catherine looked up from her notes, and the volunteers instantly froze, the temperature in the room dropping perceptibly. "Of course, Your Majesty," Catherine's voice remained remarkably steady. She turned to her team. "Please excuse us for a moment." The volunteers quickly filed out, chairs scraping against the hardwood floors until the door clicked shut, leaving the two women alone. Camilla remained standing at the head of the table, her shadow falling ominously across Catherine's papers. "The Qatari banquet is tonight," Camilla began, her hands betraying a slight tremor. "I submitted my request 2 months ago." Catherine calmly set down her pen. "I understand there were complications with that request." "Complications?" Camilla's voice rose, edged with indignation. "Anne blocked me without consultation, without consideration. She treated me like some commoner asking for table scraps." The silence stretched, thick and heavy. Catherine could distinctly hear the beat of her own heart. "That tiara belonged to Diana," Catherine stated softly. "It carries a weight beyond mere protocol." Camilla leaned forward, her knuckles white as they pressed against the mahogany table. "Diana is gone, Catherine. I'm the queen now. When do I get to stop living in her shadow?" The question hung in the air like a pall of smoke. 27 years of pain, rejection, and relentless comparison pouring forth in those 12 words. Catherine slowly rose and walked to the window, gazing out over the palace gardens, the very spot where Diana once stood, watching William and Harry play on the lawn. "Some shadows are too long to escape," Catherine whispered. Camilla's reflection appeared in the window behind her, a stark tableau. Two queens, two diverging visions of the future. Only one can wear the crown the public truly accepts. The Qatari state banquet commenced promptly at 8:00 p.m. 170 esteemed guests filled the Buckingham Palace ballroom, golden candlelight casting a warm glow over pristine white tablecloths, as the household cavalry string quartet played Handel. Queen Camilla made her entrance, adorned with the George IV state diadem, a stunning piece valued at $1.8 million, its diamonds and pearls forming intricate patterns across a golden frame, a diadem worn by queens for 2 centuries. Yet it was not the Cambridge lover's knot. The Emir of Qatar greeted her warmly. Diplomatic smiles and polite conversation about trade agreements and cultural exchange unfolded precisely as planned, until 8:47 p.m. Catherine, Princess of Wales, appeared at the ballroom entrance, pausing dramatically at the top of the marble steps. The hum of conversation gradually subsided, every head turning towards her. She was wearing the Cambridge lover's knot. The diamonds shimmered, catching the chandelier light and scattering brilliant sparkles across the vaulted ceiling. The 19 pearls swayed gently as she descended the grand staircase, her blue silk gown flowing behind her like water. She bore an uncanny resemblance to Diana in 1987 at the German state banquet. The same tiara, the same confident smile, the same effortless grace under immense pressure. Photographers at the rear of the room erupted in a frenzy, camera flashes exploding like lightning. The video footage, it was certain, would be viewed by 50 million people before midnight. Camilla watched from across the room, her jaw tightening, her hands clenching into fists at her sides. This, she realized, was no accident, no mere coincidence. This was war. Catherine greeted the Qatari delegation with impeccable diplomacy, speaking of the enduring friendship between their nations, asking thoughtful questions about their culture, and posing for photographs with the emir's wife. Every moment was meticulously captured, every angle perfect, every shot showcasing the lovers not in exquisite detail. The media narrative practically wrote itself. Princess Catherine shines at state banquet. Diana's tiara returns to spotlight. The people's princess lives on. Camilla excused herself at 9:15 p.m., walking through the palace corridors towards her private apartments, her heels echoing off the marble floors. Staff members bowed as she passed, but she offered no acknowledgement. In her dressing room, she stared at her reflection in the antique mirror. The George IV diadem still rested upon her graying hair, beautiful, historic, appropriate, but undeniably not beloved. With trembling hands, she removed the tiara and placed it on the velvet-lined table. The diamonds appeared dull under the lamplight. Her phone buzzed, a text from her private secretary. Telegraph Online edition already running photos, trending worldwide. Camilla didn't need to read the headlines to know precisely what they proclaimed. King Charles found Camilla in the rose garden at 11 p.m. She sat on the very bench where they had once met in secret 30 years prior, before the divorce, before the scandal, before their lives irrevocably changed. She was still in her banquet gown, but the tiara was gone, her hair falling loosely around her shoulders. The evening went well, Charles offered carefully, sitting beside her, maintaining a discreet distance. Camilla laughed, a brittle sound devoid of humor. Did it? I felt like an extra in someone else's movie. Charles didn't respond immediately. He watched the security lights sweep across the garden, the same lights that had once shielded their forbidden love. Now, as king and queen, those lights felt more like prison bars. Catherine didn't mean to upstage you, he finally said. Didn't she? Camilla turned to face him. Charles, I've been patient for 27 years. I've endured the hatred, the comparisons, the constant reminders that I'll never be good enough. When do I get my moment? Charles reached for her hand, but she pulled away. The lover's knot was never about you, he said quietly. It's about Diana, about the public's relationship with her memory. Some battles can't be won. Camilla stood abruptly, her silk dress rustling in the night air. Then what's the point? She demanded, her voice rising. What's the point of being queen if I'm always playing second fiddle to a ghost? The question cut through Charles like a blade. He had spent his entire life in someone else's shadow, his mother's first, then Diana's. He understood her pain better than anyone. The point, he said slowly, is duty service. The crown isn't about personal glory. Camilla walked towards the palace, her voice carrying back to him on the wind. Easy to say when you've never been the consolation prize. Charles remained alone in the garden until dawn, the security lights continuing their endless sweep, guarding secrets, concealing truths, and preserving the monarchy, one careful lie at a time. By morning, the palace phones were ringing incessantly. Reporters demanded statements, royal watchers meticulously analyzed every photograph, and social media exploded with opinions. The war for Diana's crown had officially begun. The emergency meeting convened at 7:00 a.m. in the king's private study. Charles sat behind his father's desk. Princess Anne stood by the window, her arms crossed, and Camilla occupied the chair facing them both. Sir Edward Thornton, the master of the household, spread newspapers across the coffee table. Every front page featured the same striking image: Catherine and the Cambridge lover's knot, radiant and confident. The coverage is overwhelmingly positive, Thornton reported, but we have a problem brewing. He opened his laptop, displaying trending social media posts. #Camilla versus Catherine boasted 30 million interactions, and Diana Tiara had 50 million. The comments were scathing. Team Catherine all the way. Camilla could never. Diana's tiara belongs with the people's princess, not the other woman. Catherine wears it like it was made for her. Camilla would look like a fraud. Camilla's face remained impassive as she read, each comment a fresh knife twisting in an old wound. This ends now, Charles declared firmly. We can't have the royal family torn apart over a piece of jewelry. Anne finally spoke. The solution is simple. Camilla stops asking for what was never hers to claim. A profound silence descended upon the room. You could hear a pin drop. Camilla rose slowly, her voice barely a whisper. I've given everything to this family. My privacy, my reputation, my identity. I've endured decades of hatred so that Charles could have his throne. And now you're telling me I don't deserve to wear the crown jewels because the public prefers a dead woman. Charles attempted to interject, but Camilla raised a hand, silencing him. No, I'm done being the understanding wife. I'm done accepting scraps while everyone else feasts. I'm the Queen of England, and I will be treated as such. She walked towards the door, her hand resting on the handle. Choose carefully, Charles, your crown or your wife, because I won't share the throne with Diana's ghost anymore. The door slammed shut behind her. The newspapers on the coffee table fluttered like wounded birds. Charles stared at the empty space where his wife had stood, 30 years of love, scandal, and sacrifice hanging precariously in the balance. Anne broke the silence. She's bluffing. But Charles wasn't so sure. He knew Camilla better than anyone. He had witnessed her fierce fight for their love against impossible odds, watched her transform from royal mistress to queen consort through sheer, unyielding determination. She wasn't bluffing, she was declaring war. 3 days later, Clarence House released a statement that sent shockwaves through the British media. Queen Camilla will be taking a brief sabbatical to visit her family in the Cotswolds. No official duties, no public appearances, no return date. The palace attempted to frame it as a routine break. Her Majesty deserves time to rest after a busy season of engagements. Nobody believed it. Within hours, the story exploded worldwide. Royal marriage crisis. Queen Camilla walks out. Diana's ghost divides the palace. Catherine, Princess of Wales, continued her scheduled appearances, wearing the Cambridge Lover's Knot to a children's hospital opening. Photographers captured every angle. The public couldn't get enough. But in the quiet moments between public smiles, Catherine felt the profound weight of her actions. She hadn't set out to dismantle Camilla's confidence. She had simply worn a tiara that belonged to her role. Still, the repercussions were tearing the royal family apart. King Charles knew the monarchy remained fragile after his mother's death. He couldn't risk another scandal. So Camilla remained in the Cotswolds, tending her garden, reading books, living, for the first time in decades, like a normal person. The media watched from a distance, photographers lurking in bushes, reporters camping outside the local pub, everyone awaiting the next chapter of the story. Meanwhile, the Cambridge Lover's Knot sat silently in its velvet case in Kensington Palace, 19 pearls and countless diamonds holding the power to topple queens. Catherine hadn't worn it since the state banquet. The weight felt different now, heavier, more dangerous. She finally understood Diana's remarks about the headaches. Some crowns, she realized, are too heavy for any one person to carry. Some legacies demand too high a price. But the tiara remained in Catherine's collection, waiting for the next state banquet, the next royal crisis, the next time someone dared to claim what could never truly be owned. The ghost of Diana still walked the halls of every royal palace, still influenced every decision, still determined who ultimately got to wear the crown the people truly loved. And in the Cotswolds, Camilla Parker Bowles planted roses, wondering if she would ever be more than the other woman. The battle for Diana's crown continued. The monarchy survived another scandal, and somewhere in London, a tiara waited in darkness, poised to change everything once more. What do you believe will happen next in this royal drama? Will Camilla return to reclaim her throne, or has Catherine's bold move permanently shifted the power balance in the palace? Subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next chapter of this incredible story. Share your thoughts in the comments below and inspire others with your perspective on this royal controversy. Your voice matters in keeping these important stories alive.